coaching changes throughout college basketball have really started to kind of heat up within the last 2 weeks, and today I'm going to be going over the major changes and how I think that those coaches are going to kind of help out those programs. So first, we're going to be talking about Ben McCollum. This is a great hire for Iowa. He's from Iowa City. He's had a great career so far. Just led Drake to the national tournament. Won their first tournament game. Lost to Texas Tech in the second round. He won 4 national championships at the D2 level, and then in his first year at Drake, won 31 games. So I think that this is definitely going to be a really, really good hire for Iowa. They're going to give McCollum great NIL money to use, and I think that he can really kind of turn this program into something kind of like they used to be with McCaffrey. And then for Indiana, they hired Darian DeVries. I think that this as well is also going to be a really, really good hire for Indiana. They definitely needed to go a lot younger than Mike Woodson. I just think that Mike Woodson is kind of in the same shoes as a lot of those other old coaches. He just isn't fit for the new landscape of college basketball, and DeVries is going to be somebody who's going to be able to come in here and kind of turn this program around. And DeVries, he started his coaching career as an assistant at Creighton under McDermott, and then he was hired at Drake in 2018 and coached there for 6 years, and then took the West Virginia job a year ago. And West Virginia kind of got hosed out of being in the tournament this year, and he really kind of basically led them to a tournament appearance this year. Now he is only 1-3 in tournaments. He doesn't have a ton of tournament experience, but I think that going to Indiana and playing in the Big Ten, I think that he's definitely going to have a good chance at making a lot of tournaments with Indiana. And then for Virginia, they hired Ryan Odom from VCU. He coached at VCU for 3 years, and then prior to that, he was at Utah State for 3 years, and then he only has one tournament win, and that was with UMBC over Virginia, the 16-1 upset. He has 222 career wins, and I think that he's definitely built for this Virginia job. They needed a new head coach that is going to kind of make their program have a different style of offense. Their offense really for a long time has been kind of pitiful. They play at that super slow pace, and it's really built around their defense. And I think that Ryan Odom is definitely going to have more of an offensive presence for Virginia, and with the NIL money going into Virginia for their basketball, I think that he definitely has the resources to turn this program back into what they have been in the past. And then for Miami, they hired Jay Lucas. Now, he was just an assistant at Duke, an associate head coach, so he has no prior head coach experience, but I think that is definitely what Miami needs is a younger guy. Lucas is only 36 years old. I think that he's a perfect hire for Miami. Being around the NIL landscape with who he has been with, I think that this is a great hire, and the NIL opportunities is definitely going to help out Miami with Lucas there, and he is going to be able to kind of really, I think this is a great hire, and he's going to be able to turn this program kind of back into what they have been the past 2 or 3 years with Larinaga, and I think that he is definitely set up to succeed with Miami. And after Texas fired Rodney Terry, they did end up hiring Sean Miller from Xavier, and he had spent 5 years at Xavier prior to going to Arizona for 12 and then back to Xavier for 4 more years, and then now signing with Texas to be their head coach. He's definitely a very, very good hire for Texas. Being in the SEC, they needed a guy who is going to be able to win, and he has tournament experience. He's 22-13 in the tournament. He has almost 500 career wins. He's definitely a guy that is going to be able to kind of give Texas what they expected out of Rodney Terry and did not end up with. And I think that this is a great hire for Texas. And then with Sean Miller leaving for Texas, that opened up the Xavier job, which they ended up signing Richard Pitino. And I think this is a very, very good hire for Xavier. Pitino has a really, really fast-paced offense. He's going to be able to score a lot of points in that in the Big East, where some of those teams are kind of built to kind of play at that same fast pace, and we obviously get to see the Patinos twice a year play each other. Now he was at New Mexico the past 5 years, and then Minnesota the 8 years prior to that, and he isn't the greatest winningest coach, but he does have these past few years at New Mexico has kind of shown that he has the ability to. He is 2-4 in the tournament with one of those wins coming this year against Marquette. He is definitely going to be a very, very good hire for Xavier, and I think that with the money that Xavier is going to be able to spend NIL wise, I think that a lot of people are going to want to come and play for Pitino at Xavier. And then Will Wade left McNeese for NC State, which we kind of expected for a long time that he was going to end up taking that job, and he did. This is a very, very good hire for NC State, who obviously made the Final Four last year and then had a bad year this year. I think that this is definitely going to be a good hire for them. Now, he's going to have some work to do compared to some of these other coaches going into some of these schools. He is definitely going to be one that has the most work to do, up there with Jay Lucas at Miami. I think that those two have the most work to do, but he definitely has a ton of head coaching experience. He was very, very good at LSU from 2017 to 2022. He is 3-5 in the tournament, so he's gotten there. He's shown that he can win, but he doesn't have a ton of tournament experience, and he has almost 250 career wins, so he's definitely a winning head coach. He has proven that he's able to win, and I think that this is a very, very good hire. Considering what he has done the past 2 years at McNeese, a lot of players are going to want to play for him at NC State. And then Minnesota hired Niko Medved from Colorado State. And I don't love this hire. I think that he's a very, very good coach, but going to Minnesota, for him, this is not a great kind of position for him to go to now. This is a Big Ten school. He's going to have the resources better than what Colorado State has, but I think that he is not going to get a ton of recruits there. He's not going to be able to win a ton in the Big Ten. So I think that this is kind of like almost a lateral move. I think that he would have had the same ability to win at Colorado State than what he does at Minnesota. However, I think for Minnesota, this is a great hire because he's definitely proven that he can win these past few years with Colorado State. He's 2-4 in the tournament. He has tournament experience, and I think that this is a good hire for Minnesota, but I don't love the hire, the location for Medved to go to Minnesota. And then for West Virginia, they just hired Ross Hodge from North Texas, and I am kind of in the similar boat for where Minnesota was with Niko Medved, except the opposite. I think that this is kind of a bad hire for West Virginia. I don't really love what Ross Hodge has done. He's only had 3 years of head coach experience, and he hasn't been extremely great in that time that he has been a head coach. So I think that this is a good hire, a good move for Ross Hodge in going to West Virginia. But for West Virginia to hire him, I just don't love it. And playing in the Big 12, that's a hard conference to play in, one of the best basketball conferences. So I don't think that West Virginia hired the best guy available, but I think that he will be able to win at West Virginia. I just don't love the hire. And then for Villanova, they have yet to hire a coach after firing Neptune, who had missed the tournament the past 3 years. But there are definitely a couple guys who have been on the radar for Villanova, some definite names that have been kind of thrown around. And the first one is going to be Kevin Willard. I would love to see Kevin Willard go to Villanova. He has been kind of complaining about not having the resources at Maryland, not having the funds to be able to do what he wants there, and Villanova is going to provide that to him because Villanova is a basketball school. So I think that if they hire Kevin Willard, this is a great hire, and that is a great move for Willard. Another name is Bob Huggins, who was very, very good at West Virginia. He hasn't coached for a couple of years now, but that would be a very, very good hire for Villanova. It's just that he is already 71. They're only going to get a couple years out of him, so I wouldn't love that hire for Villanova for the future, but for if they want to win within the next 2 or 3 years, that would be a decent hire. And then Chris Collins from Northwestern, he's had a couple of decent years at Northwestern, made the tournament a couple years, but not great for them. And I wouldn't really love this hire for Villanova, but for somebody that has the ability to win and could go to Villanova where they have the money to be able to provide him with what he wants, that could be a decent hire for Villanova. And then the last name is Porter Moser from Oklahoma, who was obviously great with Jeremiah Fears this year, but hasn't really done a ton with Oklahoma in the years that he's been there, which Oklahoma's obviously going to have similar NIL funds as what Villanova would. So I wouldn't love this hire for Villanova. It would almost be kind of like a lateral move from what Neptune has already given them. So I think that definitely my favorite and who I want them to hire is definitely going to be Kevin Willard from Maryland. So those are the current head coach changes throughout college basketball, and then with Villanova there, who has yet to hire, but who I believe are some of the top candidates for the head coach job at Villanova. So if you got this far in the video, like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.